So Niamh Briggs is with us, fresh from celebrating Munster's interprovincial success. Niamh, how are you? How are you getting on?
Hi guys, how you doing?
Congratulations.
Thanks a million. Thanks very much. I'm a little bit hoarse from shouting during the match
Or singing afterwards,
and the
hopefully.
celebrations
Yeah.
and the celebrations after. So yeah, look, it's a great weekend. Delighted. I'm delighted for this group. They've been exceptional over the last few weeks.
When you're a team who is already successful, there's obviously demands and expectations. So what are you looking at as a coach when the whole competition starts, apart from obviously thinking, geez, we better win this? Because, if you start thinking too much about the victories, then you kind of forget what you need to do week in, week out. So when you were sitting down at the start, what were you looking for?
Yeah, a big thing for me was in terms of just inject something new into the group, because we had coached together last year. Matt was the head coach, and then we'd flip roles this year. And we had a huge amount of young girls. I think that was really important. I think bringing them along, we had to pick our squad, but then we'd 5 or 6 girls that we identified as they were all in and around the 18-year-old mark, and we had them train with us for everything, so that knowing that the next time that there's an Interpro, I imagine that those 5 or 6 girls will be playing senior rugby for Munster. So stuff like that was really important. We spoke a lot about our identity and our culture and what it means to play for Munster, I suppose. I thought the rugby would take care of itself. It was such a quick turnaround from the AIL to the Interpros that we worked very hard on us as a group as opposed to the rugby, and I'm really glad it worked.
It's funny you talk about the culture and identity. Like, obviously there has been interprovincial rugby for a long period of time, but it feels like there's been a reset since the latest changes in women's rugby in Ireland. So there's a big opportunity for you guys to set down markers for future generations, and a bit of a responsibility to not just build on what was there before, but to be better than what has come before. So how do you even begin to tap into that and have those conversations with a new group and a diverse group?
Yeah, look, we spoke a lot about the feeling, or I suppose it was more to do with what for each individual, what it meant for them to play for Munster. And I sent out a survey and stuff came back. And when the answers were coming back from the girls, it was only then that I realised how big a deal this is for players. Because when I was playing, it was, you loved it and it was great, but I never really thought about the external stuff. And I was getting stuff back like life goals made, dreams come true. And I was like, if somebody's bought into something so much and that much, then we can then go and do something really special. And for them to be able to do that and then have the courage and the ability to be able to play the brand of rugby that we wanted to play was brilliant. And they were getting a huge amount of enjoyment out of it. We as a coaching group were getting a huge amount of enjoyment out of it. So then you found that you were rocking up to training or to meetings or whatever it was, just buzzing to get going. And I think that was kind of the general kind of feeling from the squad at the end of Saturday.
You used an important word there, Niamh, the brand of rugby, and that's something that has been you've been so exciting to watch. 50 points on the board. There's pace, there's intensity. I mean, it's a style of rugby that's going to encourage people, A, to want to play for your team, but also B, for people to want to watch.
Yeah, look, I really hope. I think the game is evolving really, really quickly in Ireland. And to be fair to the lad side, so Ian Costello, Mike Prendergast, Graham Roundtree, they've been really, really good to me since I got this job in the summer. And you're going in and you're watching their training and you're starting to think, okay, look, we clearly can't get through all the work that they're getting through. We're not professional. We're only going to be together for a few weeks. So do we go down the road of trying to be very prescriptive, or do we go down the road of playing, putting players into positions where they have to make decisions at pace, under pressure? So we went with a lot of kind of game-based scenario stuff, and it was brilliant. The first couple of weeks, not so much. I started to doubt myself a lot because there was lots of mistakes, but we stuck with it and they stuck with it. That was the most important thing. The players, they literally believed in everything that we were trying to do. And it's great because when you sit back and you get to see a try like Rachel Allen won at the weekend, where they went from literally 95 metres, you know that they believe in what they're trying to do and they're trying to push boundaries all the time. That's what I thought. I thought it was brilliant.
We had Tim Stillman, who's an Arsenal reporter, on the show recently, and he was talking about the new stadium wrap and marketing. You know, there's a serious amount of parity between the men's and women's team at Arsenal at the moment. And you even had 45,000 at an Arsenal Chelsea game in the Women's Super League recently. Feels like something special is happening along similar lines at Munster, Niamh, if I'm right in saying. I know there's, as you said, a gap between professionalism and amateur, but there seems to be a lot of effort and marketing being put into the women's team.
Yeah, look, and I think, to be fair, it's across all the provinces. I think when the games are, on television, when a sponsor like Vodafone comes in, it's huge. It's huge for the girls. It's huge for the, for the women's game. It's very important stuff, down to, anything we looked for off the pitch was taken care of. And I think that makes a huge difference to the players. This year, like, they were all given training kit, and it seems something so simple, but they rocked up all in the same shorts, jerseys and socks for training. And they're all looking around and they're able to buy into something then in terms of what we're trying to do. We're trying to make this a high performance team. We're trying to make them better rugby players. We're trying to bring the next group along. And I think the way the game is going in Ireland, it's evolving so quickly, and it's not perfect, but it's on the road to being so much better. And I think that if that's the case, then we're just going to be in a much better place. And I just think it's a really exciting time to be involved in women's rugby in Ireland.
It's also credible for any of those kids who are coming through. You're talking about 17, 18, to think and dream that they could actually be professional rugby players who stay at home and play for Munster and Ireland and have a career in the game, which, 10, 15 years ago, unfortunately, for whatever reason, wasn't credible as a dream.
Yeah, hugely. Look, we've couple of 18-year-olds on our squad that played over the 3 games. We've got a couple within the club that play for other provinces, and completely and utterly they can absolutely be playing professional rugby this time next year. And to be able to go and do that is incredible. It's incredible for them, but it's incredible for the game. And we had 3 of the girls in the squad, so obviously Maeve Ogue, O'Leary, Dorothy Wall and Enya Breen. And the shape they came in was incredible. The pace that they were able to go at pushed training to a new level for us. But their skills were so much better than even what they were when they were in Japan over the summer. So imagine that, like, that small amount of work, in 5-6 weeks since they went professional in first week of November. I'd love to think about where we can be this time 12 months. So look, and it's incredible, and we had like loads of young kids. That's a big thing I noticed over the 3 games, whether we were in Cork or in Galway. The amount of young girls at the games were huge, and lots of them there with no affiliation to any player, but just there because they play rugby now in their clubs, and also they love it. So yeah, look, it's been brilliant, but there's still a bit of way to go. But I just feel like it's just a very exciting time to kind of be in and around the mix right now.
And how about your own coaching skill set? How do you manage to benchmark how you're getting on and improving and constantly learning as well? Because you're talking about being in high performance. You obviously are a leader in that, and you have to set the tone for that. And that's a journey that every coach has to be on.
Yeah, hugely. Look, I look for affirmation. A lot of people, I think, with the lads that I'm coaching with the leadership group, but also with players or coaches externally. If I'm not working as a guard in Limerick, I'm down at Munster training, whether it's their NTS sessions or academy sessions, whatever, just observing coaches so I can get as much as I can. I think I did a Canterbury Crusaders coaching academy course over like October, I think, for 6 weeks. And I learned so much about that. It was nothing to do with rugby, it was to do with everything off the pitch. And you're just kind of looking to kind of build and grow all the time. When I'm with the club, I think you're dealing with players who have never played rugby before and play rugby for Ireland in that kind of group. And so you've got to have different expectations, and you have to be very understanding of where they are as a group. Whereas I felt when we went to Munster, it was just another step up from that, because everybody has aspirations to go and play rugby for Ireland. And when you're at that kind of a level, you can push them a little bit more in terms of their understanding, their detail. You can push them in relation to the pace and the intensity that they go at things. And that's a great learning for me. So yeah, look, it's great. It's been a really good 2 years, learning loads, and I'm really enjoying it.
On that off-pitch stuff and the psychology, Niamh, I mean, for any team or sports person for that matter, who's being remarkably successful and has a great period, motivation can be an issue. You know, you've back-to-back wins now for the first time since 2015, clean sweep of bonus point wins as well in the Interpros. But I guess the motivation for you guys next year is the target in the backs. Everyone wants a bit of Munster now because you're so successful.
Yeah, look, maybe. I'm not really sure. The women's game's a bit odd because it's in terms of how it's blocked. So we don't really get together again unless something is going to change in terms of the season structure until next season. So a lot of players will either not play next year or new players will come in and push for competition. So it's not really the motivation in relation to wanting to go and win again. You've got to go and fight for a place in the squad. You've got to be able to, we've got to see an involvement in relation to the player depth and strength and development of those players. So, it's an odd thing because it's not like you'd love it. I would absolutely love it if it was more than the 5 or 6 weeks that we had together. I think that there's definitely benefits to it, but they go back to clubs now or they go to Celtic Cup and Six Nations, which is really only next season again that you get to have something like this. So I think that's why they buy in so much, because it's so special in terms of it's just so unique. It's only for a few weeks. But look, that's another long time away in terms of where we are next season. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. All right.
I just wanted to ask you before you only have a pretty surprising and special moment after the game against Leinster last weekend. Was it Clodagh O'Halloran got down on one knee and Chloe Pearce said yes? Nice to have a little engagement to keep the heads up.
Yeah, look, it was brilliant. Clodagh rang me on the Monday to ask me was it okay. I was shocked, and then I had to mind the ring for the week, so it was burning a hole in my pocket.
No pressure.
No, but look, I was delighted for them. We speak a lot about Munster being a family. They felt they wanted to do it in front of their family, and Munster were a part of that. So no, it's brilliant. It's really good. They were buzzing after it, to be fair, and all the players were as well.
And luckily enough, you managed to win the tournament as well, so it's an all-round celebration. Win-win.
Yeah, hugely.
Listen, Niamh, good stuff. Thanks a million for joining us. Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a million.
That's Niamh Briggs there, coach of Munster, who've just racked up second successive Interpro Series.